Hi, I'm Mark. What I'd like to do today is document my experience as a first time user of a high tech diamond 11-inch lapidary saw and just kind of bring you along with me as I experience a new personal adventure. But before I do that, I'd like to just back up a little bit and tell you a little bit about my background to give some context to the discussion here. When I was a young boy, our family went on a vacation to Island Park, Idaho, and we stayed at a place called Pond's Lodge. And it was a lodge and had a bunch of log cabins built around it. And of course, being a little kid and having, read about the Old West, I was so excited to stay in a real log cabin. And then I found out there was a souvenir shop in the lodge. And so I went up and I entered the souvenir shop, and I was immediately overcome with sensory overload. The smells of cedar, the little jewelry boxes and stagecoaches made out of cedar, and there were racks of beaded Native American belts in there. And as I worked my way up and down the aisles, I eventually came to this great big Native American basket full of polished rocks. And I don't know what it was, but I was compelled. My hand immediately went in this big basket of polished rocks, and of course, the sensory experience of those highly polished and beautifully colored rocks was just mesmerizing. And actually, that was the moment I was hooked for life on rocks and rock collecting. And it was a beautiful thing. In fact, there was a little sign there that said, $1.50 for 3 rocks or whatever. I can't remember the exact cost, but whatever it was, I carefully went through that basket and I found the ones that I thought were the most beautiful and purchased them. Well, it wasn't long after that we came home, and we found out that a new family had moved in the neighborhood. And I got talking around to some of my friends, and I found out that this guy, the husband of the family, he was a rock collector. In fact, he immediately started building a rock garden around the perimeter of his yard. And of course, with my new love of rock collecting, I found myself down there watching. And one day, he came out and saw me looking at his rocks, and he says, "Do you like the garden, son?" And I said, "Oh, man." I says, "You got such a beautiful garden here." And he started telling me about the petrified logs and the geodes and the other things he had. And of course, I was genuinely interested. And so it wasn't long before he said, "Why don't you wait here?" And he went back to his garage, and he came back with this exact piece of wonderstone. It's rhyolite from the Vernon Hills in Tooele County, Utah, and it has these beautiful patterns that were created by the groundwater rich in iron oxides percolating into the rhyolite over millions of years. Well, I ran home and I couldn't believe that I had something so pretty, and I added this to my polished rocks, and my interest started blossoming. I started checking out little books at the library and so forth. From there, and as soon as I started reading books, my interest started growing and blossoming to encompass mineralogy and fossils, and what you could do with the rocks. Tumble them like this, cut them and polish them like geodes I'd seen in the rock shops and so forth. And so when I became a young adult, I made myself a promise that someday I was going to procure the equipment that would allow me to, cut open a geode and polish the face of that geode. And so, bottom line, that day's arrived. I just purchased this high-tech diamond 11-inch lapidary saw, and I have also purchased a flat lap, and I'll be doing another video about that down the road. Once I cut the stuff on here, I'm gonna do the first experience polishing the things that I cut. But before I get started and run some new material through this brand new saw here, I want to step back and just do a couple of things. First, I'm going to take time to kind of walk around and show you the saw and how it's built and so forth, give you an idea of what this particular model saw looks like. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about PPE, or personal protective equipment. It's a topic that's not covered a whole lot, but I think it needs to be talked about a whole lot more, because lapidary allows us to do some beautiful things, but there are some real health hazards that are attendant to the hobby. We can be perfectly safe if we protect ourselves, so I'll talk a little bit about that. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to show you the boxes of stuff that I have chosen to pull some, material out of, and have the privilege of being the first material to go through my rock saw here. So, anyway, with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, before I get around to using my new high-tech diamond saw, I thought I would just do a quick walk around here for those of you who may be considering the purchase of a like unit. I did do a whole lot of research on these before I ended up spending the money for it, because they are not cheap. I've been in mineral collecting and rock collecting my whole life. Years ago I had a little 6-inch trim saw, but it really was not much good for anything but, trimming little pieces of mineral specimen or really, really small geodes. What it was meant to do was only 6 inches. And I've been collecting geodes for years and years and years, some of the most beautiful localities we have here where I live, and literally have boxes of them. And I eventually wanted to get a lapidary saw, and so after a lot of research, I decided to get this one. It had a great price point for the features that it came with, and it was very highly recommended. So this is the high-tech diamond lapidary saw. It's got a 10-inch blade, and I got it with the vise that holds the specimens so that you can move them up and down the table here and get really clean cuts. I'll go ahead and open up the tank here in just a minute and show you what that looks like inside. The motor's feels like an ABS plastic housing. Sturdy, it's got the on switch here. Looks like the tank is made of polyethylene, which is really good. It's got a little stopper down here for the tank. Looks like a stopper from the chemistry shop for a flask, but works fine. And again, the vise and the guide can move up out of the way so that you can move the top off the table. Let me go ahead and show you the inside of the saw quick. Okay, as you can see, I have removed the cover to the saw, and you can see in the tank now the arbor is very high quality. Everything is very stout. I've got one of the 2 blades that came with the saw on the arbor right now. The other one is over here. One is for thinner material, more fine, and one's for thicker material. So it comes with both of those. You fill this up until the blade is dipping in the water about 1/8 of an inch, it says. You don't want to fill it up too much or you're going to get yourself a bath with the water flying off the blade as you cut the material. But that's what it looks like in the inside. I just wanted to show you the rest of the stuff that came with the saw. They give you an apron, and I would say that that's a little bit of a hint. If any of you ever used a lapidary saw before, even a little trim saw, they can throw some, liquid around. And so, no sense in pretending otherwise. So it comes with a nice apron there. In the middle there is one of the other blades. It came with 2 blades. One's on the saw, and this is the thicker one, made for thicker material. Got a little dressing stick here for cleaning, rock and stone material out of the sintered, blade edge, to kind of restore the performance of your saw down the road, your saw blade, down the road. And then, of course, they've got an instruction manual. And one of the things I'll say about the instruction manual is it's very, very well done. It's brief, to the point, and well illustrated, just like a great instruction manual ought to be. I had no problem at all following the directions to put the saw together, and then it's got stuff in terms of how to maintain it and keep your saw in tip-top shape. So anyway, here's the whole deal. This is everything that came with the saw, and I cannot wait to put it through its paces here in the next few minutes. I wanted to talk a little bit about personal protection equipment, PPE. Before we go any further, this is something that a lot of people don't really worry a whole lot about. And in fact, to be perfectly honest with you, I worked in construction when I was a young man, and I worked in, Levi's without a shirt, no steel tip boots, no hard hat, and I did some incredibly stupid things with my young life. Remember never having any eye protection while using saws, never using any respirator or lung protection. I remember jackhammering out a large wall of cinder blocks with asbestos. Nobody else would touch it. They were all afraid of this stuff called asbestos, and I really didn't know a whole lot about it. So I jackhammered the wall out and was coughing up material for a couple of days afterwards. Wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. And I feel incredibly lucky to still be around at the age I am. And I'm not embarrassed at all, as some people are, to use equipment to protect my health now. I value my lungs, I value my eyes, and even my ears. I have some headphones here that I use for the target range with my pistol when I do target shooting. And these really suppress noise. And sometimes when you're using saws for long periods of time, they can really, wear on your hearing. So if it gets to that point, I put those on as well. There is no sense at all of, putting your health at risk to, do lapidary work. What we're trying to do is create things that bring us joy and other people joy. Won't do us much good if we're dead early and not around to enjoy. So anyway, you want to make sure with the eye protection that it has side guards. Shards of things can come flying in from the side. This particular pair here fits over my eyeglasses. So a lot of people go, well, I have a prescription eyeglass, so I don't need to worry about that. Wrong. You really need to protect yourself, either with some goggles, a face shield, or something that protects you from stuff coming in the side. So anyway, you want to make sure on the face mask that the canisters have, P100 protection. That means that they will filter out 99.97, I believe, percent of particulates in this case with these canisters here. And these are also really good for filtering out a lot of organic vapors and other things that from other hobbies that I use. It's a good general canister. You want to do your research. I have a half face mask here. I prefer that, but they make full face masks as well. But anyway, I won't go on and on, but please make sure that you protect yourself so that you can enjoy your hobby for years to come. Okay, I thought a great way to break in my new high-tech 10-inch diamond saw for lapidary work would be to break out a few boxes of geodes that I've collected over the years at the famous site near Dugway in the West Desert of Utah. There's a number of things that are great about this location. There are all kinds of sizes of geodes, from great big ones to little tiny ones. And one of the big mistakes people make is they think the little tiny ones aren't any good. Well, often the little tiny ones are little jewels full of small cavities filled with crystals. And so anyway, I'm going to select a few from each of these boxes here and put my new saw through the paces. Okay, as you can see, I've got a rock all secured in the vise. And what I've chosen to cut today, as you saw in the previous clip, are, they're called geodes from the Dugway geode beds, but I've got, I don't want to throw a blanket on anybody's parade here, but these are technically not geodes. The nodules found at Dugway, Utah are actually technically thundereggs. Thundereggs have their origin in a volcanic event, an extrusion of rhyolite, and that's exactly how these came to be. Geodes, more properly, are sedimentary in their genesis. So anyway, I'm going to cut the so-called Dugway geodes today. Just realize that they're thundereggs. This is the first time I'm going to try this, so I'm going to turn on the saw. The water spray is not bad at all. It's going right down on the table. So I'm going to use the device here, and we'll let the saw do its work.
Well, let's see what we've got. Oh, that's beautiful. Boy, and I have to say the cut is really smooth. It's going to be a lot easier to sand. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Well, I just finished my first session with my high-tech diamond 10-inch slab saw. And you can see the various Dugway Thundereggs that I cut here with the unit. And I'd like to just kind of share my first impressions with you as a new user to the product here, and share my honest feelings about the unit with you. First off, probably talk about the things that I liked. There are so many things that I liked. I actually liked the fact that the unit was light to start with. I actually took it outside by my garage. It was a beautiful day. Easy to lift. It was very light. It's well made. It's very stout. And it's made of good materials. But again, good materials, and it remains light. It was also easy, as I mentioned at the outset, to put together. It was also very, very easy to use. The vise unit over here that slides up and down the rail, it worked flawlessly. One of the things that really surprised me about the unit was the fact that I didn't get wet. I remember my old little trim saw that I had, my old one, and of course it used oil, which made it even messier. I'd turn that sucker on and I'd have, oil all over me with, dirt impregnated in it. Definitely something I didn't want to wear my good clothes for. This thing here with the splash shield on the front, I didn't even get hardly any moisture even on the apron. So I stayed clean while I cut all of these specimens here. So very, very impressed with that. Some suggestions or things that I maybe would just say I didn't like so much. I was anticipating this, as with all saws. I mean, I mentioned in my early years I worked in construction, and I've continued to build things throughout my life. In fact, you look around my shop here, I've got various kinds of saws. It got loud after a while, so I was really glad that I had that ear protection that I mentioned up front. I just put the ear protection on front, and my ears were fine from there on out. The other major thing that I would suggest maybe the design department looked at down the road is that the vise here, it worked really, really good for the smaller Thundereggs. It clamped them really well. When I got to these big ones here, not so much. I had to put it in and adjust it, and they'd kind of slip out, put them in, adjust it again, and then I'd have to kind of steady it while I was going through. Now, in all fairness, I'm sure I can chalk some of that up to being a first-time user. Okay? So use my comment with a grain of salt. However, I believe that maybe a little bit bigger clamping unit as something that you could maybe swap in or out would be really helpful for these, larger units here. One last thing that I just want to just kind of say, the whole reason I bought this was to, cut all the Thundereggs and the agates and stuff that I bought over the years. And I mean, the cuts on this thing are just, they're amazing. I mean, it's like, it's not going to take that much to polish them. And I'm just really looking forward to it. The cuts are clean and smooth. So I'm really, really excited about it. So I'm sure you all want to know, if you took the time to watch the video this far, you probably want to know what my honest assessment of this unit is as a first-time user. And in a word, I'd have to say that yes, I loved it, and yes, I would highly recommend it to somebody who's looking for a larger slab saw to take, the cutting of specimens from this size up to this size. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. It has a great price point, and I mentioned those other things that were really good about it. Now, one last thing. If you enjoyed this video, watching me, this first-time rookie, put this thing through its paces, you might want to keep stay tuned, because in a couple of weeks, I'm probably going to do another video detailing my experience as a first-time user with a sister product to this, the high-tech diamond flat lap, which I'm going to put through the paces and literally polish these things that I have cut today on my unit. So, happy rock hounding, and stay safe, and I'll see you next time.